Alright, hello math peeps, and today we're talking about the altitude of a triangle. Now, an altitude is a segment from the vertex, any of the three vertices, from the vertex of a triangle that is perpendicular to the opposite side. Alright, so that means that an altitude forms 90-degree angles all the time, all the time, all the time. You hear that word perpendicular, you hear the word altitude, you should automatically think 90. So, for instance, if we had triangle A, B, C, alright, and let's say we start from vertex A, and I would draw down, and this would be, let's call point D. So AD would be my altitude. Okay, AD would be my altitude. Alright, and then it creates our 90-degree angles at ADB and ADC. So angle ADB and angle ADC are right angles or 90 degrees. Okay, now, an altitude can be drawn from any vertex, though. I could draw an altitude from vertex B to the edge and make 90-degree angles there. And we could call that BE. Alright, so it doesn't matter which vertex it comes from. And it's important that it always creates a 90-degree angle. Always, always, always. So, what do our examples look like? Okay, down here it says, example 1. ER is an altitude. Solve for x and check your solution. And then part B says, is R the midpoint of BA. So let's set up our triangle here. B, E, A, R. And it says ER is an altitude. So ER is an altitude. And let's call BR 2x plus 7. We'll call RA 3x minus 8. And we're going to call this angle here 7x minus 1. Now, in these problems, we're going to do this a lot. I'm going to give you a bunch of information, and then based on what they tell us, we have to decipher what we need to do to find that it's true. So, right away, we know it's in altitude. That's the key part. All right, the key part is it's in altitude. Once we know that, we automatically know if we have an altitude, we have 90-degree angles. So if I have 90-degree angles, I can now solve for x. I have 7x minus 1 is equal to 90. And then we add 1. So 7x equals 91. Divide by 7. And x is 13. Alright, so that's our answer to part A. It just says solve for x and check your solution. So when I say check my solution, I can go and substitute 13 back in and get 7 times 13 minus 1. And that better equal 90. Okay, so that's what we got there. Now, part B says, is R the midpoint of BA? Alright, and that's a great question. So how are we going to figure that out? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take our answer for x and we're going to substitute it in and see, hey, does BR match RA? Are they congruent? If they're congruent, then yes, we're in good shape. If they're not, then my answer is no. Alright, so part B is R midpoint. Well, we know the midpoint cuts in half, so does 2 times 13 plus 7 equal 3 times 13 minus 8? Alright, so I set these two pieces, and we're going to see if they're equal. So I get 26 plus 7 is 33. Over here, I get, sorry, I got a parenthesis out of place. I get 3 times 13 is 39 minus 8 is 31. Is 31 equal to 33? No, it's not. So we know that R is not the midpoint of BA. But again, it's important. We see altitude, that's what we use to find x, because we know it's an altitude, we know it's true. Alright, that's all I got.